Welcome back to Recharging Your Life. I am GIO and I am your community health coach and life coach. And we are all about balancing our well being. So, we're going to jump right in with my guest today because I am so excited to have a conversation with her because I believe that you all are going to value this conversation and you're going to get a lot out of it. So, let's go ahead and introduce my guest. Kristin Ericksen. She's a fitness to finance engineer. Welcome.
Thank you. So happy to be here.
Yes.
Thank you for having me.
So glad that you made it here. Now, let me set this up for everyone in the audience. And that is, we're all about balancing our well being. And our well being comes through 5 different areas of our life that we get to look at how we balance. Number 1, health, which health is really the foundation of everything, right? Everything else is a trickle effect. But then closely next to it is finance, financial. Then you have love and relationships. Then you have career and calling and what our purpose is. And then lastly, having a connection to something higher. So when we think about balancing our well being, we look at those 5 buckets. Kristin here, based on her title, Fitness to Finance, is here to talk about our well-being when it comes to finance. So that's what we're talking to you about today. So before we jump into that, Kristin, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, again, thank you so much for having me. It's a complete honor. I have a very lengthy story, but I will keep it very brief. I have gone through many different arenas in my lifetime, many different cities. I've experienced so many wonderful things from so many wonderful people, and I'm really, really excited to just bring that all to you here. I started out literally in the entertainment business. I was a professional dancer. I was a gymnast. I did a little acting in Los Angeles. Then I went to college at Pepperdine University in Malibu, California, received my undergraduate with exercise science, and then moved to New York City. Did New York City for 8 years. It was an incredible experience, learned a lot, transitioned into the financial world. And they really have a lot of similarities. That's what I have really come to the conclusion.
So I think that that's where we're going to start because based on your background, right, it was really around fitness and health in general. And then all of a sudden you get into finance. How does that happen? And we're going to talk about the importance of that transition and what you do today and what your mission is in helping others. So let's step back and say, how did that transition happen?
Very good question. So growing up an athlete, always since the age of 2, my father was also the strength coach for the Utah Jazz basketball team. So I was around a lot of professional athletes. I was always an athlete, very active as a kid. And, about later in life, in my senior year in high school, I was in a bad car accident, hurt my back, realized, wow, this could be a purpose for me to try to help people because I had gone through so much physical therapy to fix my back, had wonderful people working on me. So I created that as my purpose, as my mission to say, hey, if somebody was able to fix me, I now have the skill set and the tools and the degree to help other people. So from fitness, I spent 15 years in Los Angeles, celebrity personal trainer, did a lot of massage therapy. Again, just really trying to lay hands on people and fix them, help them, because I had been there. Being in pain is no fun.
Yeah. And so this came from the accident that you had.
Absolutely.
Which that again, that's why I love that everybody has a story. And that's where your journey started. So please keep going.
Yeah. So I was a physical therapist assistant in Malibu, California. Again, I went through so many physical therapy sessions and then started to utilize those techniques to help my clients. Then the injury reared its ugly head again when I lived in New York City. And I realized at that point, okay, I can make a transition here because fitness has always been my life, but I realized that health is wealth. So when that injury took me out of my profession and I could no longer drive an income, that was eye-opening to me. Very much so. So I started to take it upon myself to learn. I had a wonderful mentor that actually moved me to New York City from Los Angeles and started mentoring me in the financial world. So every time I would have lunch with him, I would start to ask him questions. How did you get to where you are? How do you do this? Because it was never educated in my time, and my parents didn't have the financial education. So I was curious and I was open-minded, and I listened to him because he clearly knew what he was doing. So at that point, I thought to myself, well, this is a very good transition because I don't have to utilize my physical body necessarily to help somebody. I can help somebody with my knowledge, with my mind. And at the time, there was a time where I was actually doing it from a hospital bed. Not a fun time in my life, but it got me through. And I planned for it because of my mentor.
Yeah. Wow. What a story, Kristin, honestly. And I love everything about it. It has so many components of the importance of taking care of yourself, of your health. And what you just shared reminds me of a quote that I like to share with others, which says, if you do not take the time to pay attention to your wellness, you're going to be forced to pay attention to your illness.
100%.
Very important, which that alone fits into a lot of what you do today when we think about wellness, because you take care of your health and you still push that. But now I want you to tell us a little bit about your mission today, because you are very passionate about that. And when I met you, that's what really stood out.
Thanks.
Of course, your fitness is something that you always carry with you, but that's really where you made someone like me stop and really start examining things after some life-changing events. And I think that a lot of our audience today can relate to this, in that alone COVID has been life-changing for many of us. And there's so many things that could have changed that fit perfectly into your mission, based on it doesn't matter the event, the life-changing event, because it all leads to the same results, which ultimately is your financial foundation. So talk to me, please, about your mission today and what you're passionate about.
I am super passionate about educating people. We have to break the mold. I love my parents to death, but I did not learn financial wellness from them. It's not their fault because they weren't taught. So how can we break that mold? How can we open up that conversation for people? And it begins with an open mind and educating and making it fun. I believe that you have to make anything that you're actually going to learn, you have to make it fun and you have to make it passionate. So people know that I've always been taught people don't care how much you know unless they know how much you care. And because I've been through it, I've been through, wow, where's my next paycheck coming from? Wow, am I going to physically be able to get up and go to work today? What if my money is working for me versus me working for my money? What does that look like? Because I had celebrity clientele, big time celebrity clientele. So I watched their lifestyles. I watched how they lived. I listened to the conversations. And then I kept learning on my own, as well as with my expert mentors and everybody in. And I thought to myself, why doesn't everybody have this same base knowledge?
Yeah. And I love that you said fun. Finance is fun. I'm sorry, but that certainly doesn't come across to me. And because this is one of the really most important building blocks of foundation and wellness, I'm sorry, but finance to some people is really, really scary. And you talk about preparing and planning, but where do you start? Like, when you have clients, when you talk to them and you have the person sitting in front of you that has gone through a life-changing event, like, how do you educate? Where do you start?
Very good question. My mission is to find out about you, what's important to you. It's not about me. It has nothing to do with me. What's important to you? First question I always ask, what keeps you up at night? Because if we can get to the source of the pain, I can help provide a solution. I don't want people to be in pain. You should have peace of mind. The whole goal of people as they build their wealth and they're working towards retirement. What's the point of collecting a big pile of money if you can't enjoy it and you don't have peace of mind for it? So by making it fun to say, hey, where do you see yourself at age 65? Do you see yourself on a beach? Do you see yourself vacationing? Let's have fun with this and let's reverse engineer your dream. Hence the reason I like to call myself a financial and fitness engineer. I'm going to take your pain point and your problem. We're going to reverse engineer it and fix it for you. My famous line always is, this is not a financial plan. So we can't go through life. We can't go through life hoping, wishing. Like fitness, we can't wish the pounds away if we're not taking action in the gym or by what we're putting in our mouths, you know.
So I love that your question to clients are, what keeps you up at night, right? Versus I ask the question of, what do you want or how do you want to wake up in the morning? So you are hearing what keeps people up at night. What are you most recently hearing that's keeping people up at night today?
Worrying about their children. They want to make sure that they are leaving a legacy for their kids, because maybe as adults and in our age range, you know, maybe when
what do you mean at 27 years old?
Exactly. No, 27 and a half. You know, it's parents, that's your legacy. That's what's most important to you, is you care as a mom or a father, you care about your children. I know my mom and dad did, for sure. They still do. So it's important that, you know, even if mom and dad didn't make all the right choices, it's okay. We can still instill good choices in our children by reestablishing or establishing new habits. New habits.
Oh, listen, you are hitting on such key words that, again, I will remind everyone that's watching that all of what we're talking about is so relative. You can lift and shift this into all areas of your life that we're talking about. Habits. Habits is the foundation or the actions that take you to your results. So just like you change your wellness habits on how you eat, right? Or how you communicate to have better relationships, we need or we get to take a look at our habits when it comes to our financial health. Give us some examples of those habits, please.
I like to play a game with not only myself, but with my clients. Instead of spending X amount of dollars on whatever you probably do not need, challenge yourself, and I want you to actually buy a piggy bank, like literally buy a piggy bank. And instead of taking that, whatever that monetary amount is, take it away from yourself, put it away from yourself, and utilize that as a little game. Like, how much am I going to accumulate at the end of the month? And then maybe sometimes I'll have clients utilize that as vacation money, or maybe they'll, you know, put it towards their future. But again, it's about creating the habit of not instantaneous, delayed gratification. My mentor used to tell me, it's okay to be broke when you're young. It's not okay to be broke when you're old.
Wow. Very powerful. No. And that is, that's certainly something for us to look at. I've never approached it that way. So thank you for changing our perspective and all that. Now, by all means, you don't exclude anyone from a gender perspective for clients. However, you are very passionate about helping women with whatever life-changing, altering situation they have, because again, you're coming from your story. And most of us in what we do today usually come from our story, based on wanting to give people the tools and resources so that they can either avoid, or if they're in that same situation, they can get out of it sooner than what took us to get out of our situation. So women, you really focus on women and helping them with a
Excuse me.
lot of, again, their life altering events. So give us an example for any women listening to this today as to some tips, what they should be on the lookout for. And again, doesn't mean it could be a single mom. It could be someone who's married. It could be someone going through a divorce. It could be someone who is taking care of ailing parents, which is also takes a big toll on you, even financially, or kids, with disabilities. So women, you're very passionate about them. Tell me a little bit of your tips and your approach to them.
One of my new clients, apparently I struck her little light bulb going off when I said to her, hashtag, pack your own parachute. What does that mean? It means if you're married, if you're in a relationship, make sure you are involved in the conversation of your family finances. Unfortunately, I do deal with a lot of divorced women. I'm divorced as well, but I had my own parachute packed. Thank goodness. Because I took it upon myself to educate myself as to finances. And what does that mean? What does my future look like if that husband, boyfriend, fiance, whatever, is not there? And I think oftentimes women, I'll get the reaction, oh no, he handles it. Oh, he handles it. But I say to myself, but you built that home together as a married couple, didn't you? Yes, but he handles it. Well, then they're divorced, and now she has no idea where anything is, what anything is, or how much anything is. So why not get ahead of that curve? Not to say that I want people to get divorced, of course not. However, whether you're married, divorced, single, it doesn't matter. You should be involved in that conversation. In my world, it is definitely a male-dominated industry. I think female financial people, I want to say it's maybe 9%. It's a very low number. I don't know exactly, but it's still a very low percent. More often than not, women actually want to speak to a female advisor because maybe they have some wounds, from an ex-husband or a relationship. It doesn't matter. The point of the matter is take control of your own. Because even if you are married, great, 2 eggs in a basket. Maybe you can have bounce ideas off one another, as opposed to just being left out of the conversation.
Yeah. So it goes back to education, right? Allowing others to feel comfortable to say it's okay that you don't know a lot, but you can help educate them and take the first step to at least be in the know is so important. And so really dismissing that feeling of discomfort and fear and doing yourself a favor and starting to learn a little bit, not saying that you even have to be in a life altering situation. Start now educating yourself. And if it's time to start educating yourself, because in listening to this conversation, you may stop and say, wow, you're right. I don't know anything about that. I should at least start looking into that. So 2022 is, I believe, 16 days away. Crazy that it's been 2 years of this craziness that we've been going through. From your personal opinion, right? From that finance chair, what do you see happening? Whether it's to the market in general, we talked about earlier before this conversation, we were talking about, taxes. We're looking in the next 10 years, but give me a little synopsis of 2022 from your opinion.
My opinion is it is actually a very exciting time because COVID made people wake up. It made them actually take a look and be willing to take a look at their finances. As we saw, there was the great divide. There were people in certain groups that, because they had the knowledge, they tripled and quadrupled their wealth. But then others that didn't have the knowledge or were not well planned, they're still struggling. So it's this great divide. But I watched it from afar going, wow, the rich keep getting richer Why? Because of education. It really does boil down to that. Somewhere along the line, they were given the tools, okay? And the poor kept getting poorer. So I would always encourage people, you know what? You have to take control of your own. You are where you are at in this life because of nobody's fault. You have to own it.
Mm-hmm.
We've all made mistakes. We've all made bad choices. But you have to own it and be willing to look at it and say, wow, I can either sit home and mope my head, or I can utilize this time of tragedy and chaos and uncertainty to say, all right, I'm going to wake up and take charge. I'm going to wake up and make some new choices. Why am I spending $1,800 a month on food? Maybe we can cut that back a little bit. So it was actually very eye-opening sitting in my seat that I sit in because I've been on both sides.
Yeah. And so any outlooks for 2022?
I'm not going to project. I'm not going to do that because nobody knows for
Correct.
sure. That's the bottom line.
Correct.
Nobody knows for sure. The one thing that we can do is be prepared.
Yeah.
I always encourage people to plan for the worst
Mm-hmm.
so you can enjoy what's going to be the best. That's
Yeah.
the whole goal. Peace of mind. We don't want to be stressed out. People are so stressed out. And now you're not enjoying your quality of life. Health is wealth. If you have a lot of money and you're not healthy, you're not happy. If you're healthy and you don't have a lot of money, you're not happy. So what's the happy medium here? How about we just plan for both?
Exactly. And so I love that you just said that, because in essence, what you just said, it's about balancing, feeding these different buckets in areas so that we can be satisfied. We can live our life fully. And man, it's all about balancing your well-being. And so I'm almost hearing from you that the word balance is taken over by the word planning.
Mm-hmm.
Planning, knowing, anticipating, sitting down and doing simple things around what is your budget? How much do you spend a month? Just having that education and know all of kind of where your money's going.
Taking control. What's coming in, what's going out. Are you intentional with where you place those dollars? Same thing, I'll go back to fitness. Are you intentional when you set your alarm for 4:45 in the morning so you can get to the gym by 5:30, get your workout in, and then get to the office? That's intentional. Are you intentional about what are your, living costs? What's coming in, what's going out? It goes back to the fundamentals. It's math. It's not rocket science.
Yeah.
It's math.
Wow. No, listen, God, just great conversation. So many great tips. And it's really comes down to back to the planning and education, which is everything that I've heard from you. You're coming from your own story, which it's very visible and obvious as to your mission and your passion. So random question, what do you do for fun? What do you like to do?
Well, anybody that knows me knows that my dog is everything. She's a white boxer. She comes with me everywhere. She strikes up a lot of conversation. She brings me a lot of joy. So I walk a lot with her. I also love to do hot yoga. And I love to meet people. I love to talk to people. I love to find out, what is your story? Everybody has a story. It's not, and more often than not, I find, GIO, that we all actually have a similar story. Most people have been through some kind of trauma in their life.
I would agree with you 100%.
Yeah.
And again, you're feeding so well into what I'm passionate about. And it comes down to that all of our stories compare or have a common denominator, which is we have a beginning, we have a middle that with some bumps, right? And then we adjust to then ensure or do the best that we can so that when our end comes, we did the best that we can and we, got to our goals and really lived the life that we had. Gosh, I love that. I love that a lot.
And
So
I
many
think I'll
similarities.
just add to it. I always encourage people to, again, I'll say it a million times. The mind is like a parachute. It only works if it's open. So oftentimes what I find is people are seeing right here. They're just seeing what's in front of them, which is good for certain reasons. But I would always encourage people, I need you to see out here a little bit.
Yeah.
So if I can help somebody see ahead against things that they might not be aware of
Yes.
because they just don't have the foresight, that's a game changer for somebody. You don't know what you don't know.
Correct. And what you're saying is that you're giving them the tools and the resources to set themselves up for success, for that wellness, for that health, which is so similar to a topic that I spoke about in the last 2 weeks, and that's around coaching.
Yeah.
Right? Let's not stereotype coaching as just within the sports arena.
Absolutely not.
Coaching is gaining support to the tools and resources through education, through planning. It's all the same. So, though I am a health coach and a life coach, in essence, you are a finance coach. Would you agree?
Yes, absolutely. And again, it's like I came from the teaching background. It's fun for me to educate. I always tell people from the get-go, you never have to become my client, ever. You don't. But if you're open to learn, I'm here to teach you. I'm here to help you. So, if we can just sprinkle those little nuggets, you can really change, what your children are going to see in the future, how your children are going to be able to respond to maybe a not so nice situation.
Yes.
God forbid there's another COVID situation. Nobody saw that coming.
Of course.
Nobody saw that coming. But if we had certain baseline, tools in the toolbox to pull from, then it's not so scary.
Yeah. And you spoke about nuggets and giving nuggets. You give a lot of nuggets through your Instagram account in general, across finance, across fitness, and all of that. So if anyone wants to follow you, how do they get a hold of you?
Sure. I'm Fitness to Finance. It's a fun page. I obviously have a formal business page as well. You can DM me for that. But Fitness to Finance, the way it's spelled, like the word, no numbers. And I'm happy to share. I'm happy to meet you and find out your story, see if I can help you in any way.
Yeah. And you've certainly helped me.
Thank
So
you.
I thank you for that. So it was an honor to have you here. Again, you have a great story, such a great example of what you're doing with that, helping others, your mission, what you're passionate about, and just continuing to wake up every morning on everything. So thank you so much for being here, Kristin.
I love it.
I no doubt that you threw out a lot of nuggets for us to consider, as well as our audience. So definitely, I'd love to have you back, dig into maybe more of a specific hot topic to really, help our audience even plan even further, especially 2022 is right around the corner. We are 16 days away. So happy holidays and happy new year. Thank you so much
Thank
for being
you for
here.
having me.
Yes,
I appreciate it.
Of course.
Anytime.
Yes. And so there you have it. Balancing your well-being, ways to align yourself to the best of your ability so that you can flourish. All the areas of life. Today we dug into financial, one of the key components really to your overall well-being. Kristin delivered to us some great nuggets, educated us, and is about planning. So recharge your life, stay safe, have a great holiday, and we will see you in 2 weeks. Bye.